All right, you're now live.
Thanks, David. Good evening. Welcome to the March 30th regular meeting of the West Hartford Commission of the Arts. My name is Chuck Corsi, and I am the chair of the board. This meeting is being conducted in a virtual format in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act as amended by Public Act number 21-2, which authorizes municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Members of the public can view the meeting live on West Hartford Community Television at whctv.org or YouTube/WHCTV5. The meeting is also being recorded for on-demand viewing and will be available on the town's website. Since we are conducting this meeting in a virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. First, I ask all participants to mute your device when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you in the order I see hands raised. If you are participating via audio only, or I do not call on you and the debate is ending, then unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, all speakers must make a good faith effort to state the person's name and title at the outset of each occasion that such person participates in the meeting. Third, all votes will be taken by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. Fourth, a reminder that if any participant has a problem with connectivity, you should immediately call David Petrella, whose phone number you were provided earlier. He will let me know and we will recess the meeting while the problem is being resolved. If it cannot be resolved quickly, we will ask that you call into the meeting using the phone and participate via audio only. Okay, with that, I am going to proceed to the roll. Karen Bachman is absent, as is Matthew Brad.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
here.
There. Oh,
yeah, I got here.
Great, thank you, Karen. Okay, Karen Bachman here. Matt Bragg is absent, as is Javier Colon. Chuck Corsi is here. Latanya Farrell.
Here.
Jenny Kemp.
Here.
Carol McCabe.
Here.
Marilla Pinedasor.
Here.
And Susan Rothenberg.
Here.
All right, excellent. Okay, first on the agenda with our meeting opening is the approval of the February minutes. I assume you've all had a chance to read them. Unless there are any questions, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from February? Carol, I saw your hand.
Motion to approve the minutes from February.
Second. Great. Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all those vote to approve signify by saying aye. All those against, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So today we are very grateful to have our friend, Representative Kate Farrar, come and speak with us. Kate, I've gotten to know Kate over the last couple of years. She is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest working people in West Hartford when it comes to community service. So we really appreciate her taking the time out of her busy day to talk about this wonderful initiative that she's spearheading in Elmwood on the train bridge. So with that, Kate, I'll hand it over to you just to give us a quick update as to how things are going, and then if there's anything that we can do to help.
Thank you, Chuck, and I'm thrilled to be here with you all. I have seen the Arts Commission get started and grow, and I'm just grateful for all of you, and I hope that I can share an update that again just showcases how we're putting art into action in our community of West Hartford. So as Chuck shared, I'm Kate Farrar. I wonderfully represent the 20th District, which is both Southern West Hartford and Western Newington. And I just think it's worthwhile kind of sharing the impetus for this idea, because it just proves, I think, for all of us that go about our daily lives, we see a range of locations in our town where we think, there's something more we could do there. And that's exactly what happened with our former council member, Leon Davidoff, on his route between West Hartford and Newington. And he reached out to me because we're often familiar in Elmwood with the train bridge, but that was painted in the last few years. But what he reached out about was in particular the kind of location under the train bridge. And if there was something we could do, again, kind of pursuing having a mural under the train bridge. And that really led myself in pursuing what we could do. And Amtrak wonderfully kind of cleared our pursuit of that. And that has led really to several conversations with the Elmwood Business Association, with Chuck as chair of the Arts Commission, with the West Hartford Arts League. And also I've been fortunate enough to get the support of our state of Connecticut to financially support the development of a mural, which will be under the train bridge. And this request of $30,000 should be in the next budget as it's voted on and signed at the end of this legislative session in June. And the next step that's really happening is the West Hartford Art League is really taking the lead on putting together what will be an option for artists to bring forward their ideas for that location. And the West Hartford Art League, given their experience in murals in other parts of the town, is really well suited for this. So they're going to be headed to the Elmwood Business Association in April just to get some final feedback from them before they put together this proposal and get the word out. And again, all of that should kind of lead us to being able to choose an artist and support them and support, again, kind of the painting of this new mural in our town. So I am just thrilled to get to kind of share that latest update with everyone. And we really welcome, your guidance and support on this initiative or anything else in our town in regards to how we can lift up more of the visual arts in so many of these locations. So I'll stop there and just see if there's any questions or anything that I could kind of follow up with, given your all's guidance as well.
Thanks, Kate. Any questions for Kate? That was Jenny.
Kate, thanks so much for coming. This is really exciting. When would you hope the mural would start? When do you anticipate the artist being selected and that artist working on the mural?
Great question. It really is, kind of we're leaning on the West Hartford Art League for some of the timing on this. If they get their proposal up and running shortly, we're hopeful that by the time the funding comes through in June, that they would be ready to pick an artist and kind of get moving, so that we could hopefully complete this piece of art by the end of the year. I think that would be kind of the ideal scenario for all of us. But it does depend again on making sure we can get the proposal out from the Art League and make sure that they are able to find an artist that can do something within that time frame.
Great.
Super. Any other questions? This is great, Kate. And really appreciate your coming and taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah.
As you know, we're kind of new. We've just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. We're constantly looking for a way to connect artists to places and spaces where they can showcase their art. And, although I tend to think, and I think it's an opinion shared by others on this commission, West Hartford is a wonderful place. It's one of the best communities in which to live, work, play, raise kids. There's no other place I'd rather live. But that being said, we can always do things better. There's always room for improvement. And one thing that an area of improvement is in how our town, and also how we embrace art as an essential part of our community. And I kind of come at it. I mean, it's good for the soul. We all know that it's wonderful. But I also come from the importance of arts and culture from an economic development standpoint, in terms of for every dollar someone spends to go to an exhibit, 3 other dollars are being invested in the community, whether it's at businesses, restaurants, services. So it's good for the town. We had a meeting, Ginny and I, a couple of days ago with our friend Leon Davidoff, the new town clerk, and he was talking about Longmeadow, or I'm sorry, Northampton, Massachusetts, and how dedicated and how what a great arts community that is. A community that's half the size of West Hartford, but really has a thriving arts and tourism and culture community there. And I think I'm just speaking for myself now, but one of the things, and we're going to be asking for help, as we go on this journey together, and it's not going to happen this week or this month or this year, but we'll be asking for help on how we can help guide West Hartford to enhance and increase their commitment to the arts, so that we can really be, a beacon for artists in the like. So that's enough kind of my soapbox for the evening. But I really appreciate your coming, listening to us, and sharing the info with us.
Yeah, and I would welcome your all's involvement as this process continues, especially to get the word out. We want to make sure that this is really a broad and inclusive process for finding artists that might be a great fit for this location in our town. And I would just kind of to add on to what you said, Chuck, I think this commission can play such a pivotal role, I would say, also in continually working with us as legislators, because we want to keep bringing funding back to the town to support our arts and culture organizations, to support artists. And I would just share kind of one note that I have brought up to some of my legislative colleagues about the need for just generally more artist involvement in our state boards and commissions, because sometimes artists get delegated to what's perceived as an arts and culture project. But artists can bring their creative perspective to so many issues. So I just will continue to encourage the commission to insert yourselves in places that people might not typically think arts belongs, because again, artists bring such a different and valuable perspective to a lot of the decision making that we can make as policymakers.
Excellent. Karen, yes, I see your hand up. You're on mute.
It's always an ordeal to unmute myself, but hi, Kate. Thanks a
Hi,
lot
Karen.
for coming.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up the idea. We're always talking about appropriate signage. And I just came back from a road trip, and in different areas, when you were like on a county road or more of a highway-ish thing, something like we have going here with 84, there will be a big sign at a community that'll say points of interest. And I wish, you're going real fast because I wish I had clicked a picture, but it'll list the town symphony, it'll list the art league of the town, and it makes it, it makes it clear what we have to offer. We've been talking about signage for a long time, just in terms of the different organizations being able to advertise something that's going on. We have very limited ability, but having something on a major roadway is more of a state kind of thing. Just bringing it up, just throwing the idea out in the universe.
I love it. Thank you for bringing it up, because I don't know if you've been out there, but what I'm familiar with, even in this context of a mural, is I don't know if you all have been out to Winstead to see the new mural that they had done out there a few years ago. And actually in the town, and it's on a state road because it's on 44, they have signage now that directs people to the mural location. And it kind of has that distinctive, in this case, brown sign. So it kind of stands out from some of the other signage. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm happy to talk with my colleagues and DOT, and certainly our cultural fellow kind of arts and tourism office, because we've been putting more money towards our arts and tourism advertising budget, But as you noted, when you're physically here, how do you find the locations that you're looking for that you've come to see? And I think, as you noted, the more that we have linkages between what our state signage might be, and I know the town's, embarking on a whole signage project themselves, we can really kind of connect those in a way that lift up the art. So I think it's a great suggestion.
Great.
You also just reminded me, I don't know if everyone is aware, some of you might be, the town has released, the state has released a lot of money for recovery in the arts and culture area. And I know you've been on the right side of that, the part that says, yes, we should release this money. And my organization, the West Hartford Women's Choral, has received 2 small grants, but most of the organizations in town, as far as I know, have received quite a bit of support. So thank you so much for your support in that regard.
My pleasure. And yeah, as you said, Karen, we have to keep it up. It's not a one-time thing to invest in our arts and culture organizations. So
Right.
I know that's something as a legislature, many of us are continuing to push on because we know the value.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments for Kate before we let her get on with her evening? Okay, great. Thanks again, Kate, and we'll definitely look forward to working with you in the future. And anything we can do to help, please let us know.
Wonderful. Yeah, again, thank you all so much. And I look forward to, again, we'll be happy to get all the information to you with the Art League's proposal once it's ready.
Super.
Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Kate.
Thank you.
So let's move on to old business. The first item on the agenda for old business is the West Hartford Arts and Culture Calendar. We are making progress with that, with getting a calendar for all the arts and culture events that are going on in town. I think last I had informed you, I had met with Chris Conway, Chris Conway, the head of the chamber, Renee McHugh, who director of PR for the town, and Kristen Gorski, the economic development coordinator, and they have agreed that the based on some of the criteria that we had talked about to do that. So I am actually meeting again with Renee McHugh because she is the one that ultimately is responsible for entering in all the information. I volunteered to say, I would do it, or someone on this commission in the future could do it if we got an easy template just to get it going. But Renee, wants to be the keeper of that information, which actually is fabulous. Renee does a great job. So we should have more information, and hopefully by before summer we'll have this calendar up and running. And then it's going to be a question of really marketing the heck out of it to make sure that people are aware of it. Any questions on that? Yes, Karen.
So Chuck, let me be clear. Is it a calendar separate from the one that exists already, or will it just be for arts and culture, or how will it work?
It's going to be first of all, the calendar for West Hartford. There's really no content on that right now. It hasn't been populated. If you go to the website, it would be predominantly arts and culture, events, all the organizations that we represent, as well as some other things. It's like anything else. We need to get something up and running and see how it works. See what works, see what doesn't, and then try and improve it as we go along. But I know it's sometimes I get a bit frustration. I like things to happen quicker, but I think by having it up and running, it gives us a better chance to get the word out there. It's not meant to have every kid's game on it. It's not going to have like sports games for kids. It's stuff to do in West Hartford with an eye towards people who are coming to visit or somebody that's looking for something really cool to do. I originally had pushed for just a specific arts and culture calendar, but they wanted to, instead of having several different calendars, they thought one calendar of events would be best. We'll see how it works out. And we'll keep an eye on it. But that's a good question, Karen. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, moving on to the next item. Still need, I'm looking for volunteers for a new secretary. And I will be making some phone calls in the coming weeks. But if you want to preempt any phone call, give me a holler. That would be much appreciated. Unless anybody wants to volunteer right now.
I could volunteer.
Sue, that's great.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
I think I'll coordinate with Marilla. I don't know if I've taken great notes so far for this meeting, but
I'm taking the notes. So
right.
I'll
we'll do a
forward.
transition.
That's super. Thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Sue.
Yeah.
All righty. Latanya, why don't you give us an update? We've been talking on the, Latanya and Plugged In Hob about, the artist outreach and, identifying places and spaces for artists to showcase their work. Why don't you give us an update, Latanya, about what's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the idea of being able to get artists in these places and spaces. That's kind of where my mind, once Chuck and I had lunch one day and we were just talking, and the idea of places and spaces, like that's come up. And I had an opportunity in connecting with Blueback Square. They had asked if I would do a couple of different summer concerts throughout the summer, back to back, to be in Blueback at least once a month. Now it looks like it will be May through August. And I thought, as a member of the council, like, I don't know, I thought it would be a great idea to do something more with that opportunity, and to, not just go out and perform a summer concert, but perhaps get some folks into the places and spaces in Blueback throughout the summer, whether it be dancers or all types of artists, visual artists, you name it. We have so much in this community. I did meet with some of the folks from Blueback, and they're interested in the idea of it becoming more than just a summer concert, but a way to again bring folks, artists in particular, into these places and spaces. With Hav and Chuck, we talked a little bit more about, yeah, it's great to do that in Blueback, but there are other places in the community that we can help support and bring artists into those spaces. And the thought was I had a theme that had been trolling around in my head called "What's Good, WeHa." And it would just regularly showcase what's good in our town. It's not what's good, but the artists that we have in town, all different types of artists, and being able to place them in lots of different places and spaces. Mural, I saw your hand was up. Did you want to?
Yes, I was wondering if, reaching out to the business association and getting the restaurants the word, hey, we're really trying to encourage artist exposure. Would you be willing to bring a group and pay them once a week, or just make a live event regular to your restaurant? I think, I don't know about you, but I love whenever I go to eat and I see a group perform amazingly. So that would be one idea. The other idea, as Kate was talking, When the mural, for example, will be inaugurated, maybe out of that $30,000 grant, 1,000 could be saved for a performance, for a performance of some sort, to kind of, engage a little bit more than just the visual artist who's presenting, who's doing that great work, but to be a celebration that's going to bring people together for many other offerings.
I think that's a great idea, Marilla. I don't know if it's in their budget, but I definitely, when we get together with Roxanne, who's I guess kind of keeping the budget on this, definitely will bring that up. I think that's a great idea, reaching out to the business organizations. You've got a lot of really vibrant, the Center Merchants, Park Road, the Elmwood Business Association, the Chamber. You know what I think we should start with is a list of those places that already are doing events, and maybe what we could do is help them with a little positive PR.
That's a good idea.
In terms of hey, come to. I know that's WeHa Brewery brewing in the coffee shop over on Shield Street. They have live performances there. And that guy's he's trying really hard. Cody is his name, who runs that place, to get the word out. And maybe, that's something, a little sweat equity on our part in promoting it. And, we put in there other restaurants that might be interested, or other, places. I'm trying to get the woman at Riverbend, to talk to her about doing poetry readings there. But maybe we start to develop a database. So if you could put in the minutes, Marilla, a request for folks, maybe two different lists. One is these are places that currently do it, and these are places that we should reach out to that may not be doing it.
Yeah, and I don't know if someone cannot afford, then maybe we can brainstorm about how can we make it happen.
Yeah. I'm really glad you said pay the artist, because this is not, too often, people, are looking, artists are just, they're doing their thing and they're making a living too. They deserve to be compensated and paid. This isn't, we're not looking for people to do favors.
Absolutely.
But that's an important part of it. And it helps. It's going to bring in more people for the facility.
Mhm.
So we'll Latanya will continue to keep us updated as this progresses along. Any other questions for Latanya? And I apologize. I am really dragging today. I do not feel well at all, and I'm not looking. I'm going to take a COVID test in a few minutes. Don't worry, you're not going to get infected. But I just
had
really...
one.
What?
I was gonna say, yeah. So I love Marilla's idea about, when there is some sort of cultural or art event in town, inviting, if you have more than, let's say, if it's just about, the mural, then, and you invite another artist, and everyone who that artist's community or that artist then is motivated to get even more people pulled in. And I just think the more that, and Latanya, you talking about Blueback, there's so much potential, like, to really pool together all these different sub communities. And that's when the synergy starts happening. I feel like people are excited to be at an event where there are a lot of people, and it just feels more just alive. So I do love that idea of pairing, you know, different events and including other types of artists. You know, I think that's a win-win. So that's all I had to say.
Excellent.
So what do you, I question, you know, let's start with the Blueback event.
Yeah.
What are some of the best ways to get, like, do you all have any ideas of some artists or groups that would come out and showcase and perform or be in that space? Or, you know, kind of like I think about sometimes, oh my God, what is that event? And I can't even, sorry, I'm
Celebrate?
having a moment. Yes, thank you, Chuck. So I didn't have a crazy moment on TV just now. But something similar to that, where we have different groups come out and represent themselves. I don't know, like
Yeah. You
it's
know, that's a good question. I think we have a lot of tools. One is, you know, we have that Facebook page. We have a couple of different Facebook pages out there. We have the West Hartford Arts and Culture Collaborative. You know, we've had some pretty good luck at getting some feedback on that.
okay.
You know, West Hartford Arts Emporium. She does a great job.
Stephanie.
Does
Stephanie
a great
Lance.
job. Yeah,
Yeah.
she does a great job with that. You know, these are all people. There's so much that we can do, and it's you know, I get frustrated that there are only so many hours in the day, but I think we need to, you know, focus on if that's, you know, a direction we want to go. Like say there's if we have 3 or 4 openings in the summer at Blueback, you know, maybe, you know, great to if we can take advantage of some of the empty space, and for that month, maybe, you know, a call to visual artists, that whether it's, you know, photographers, painters, sculptors, whatever, that they can display their works maybe in one of the empty storefronts.
Mhm.
You know, maybe that's something. You know, spoken word. You know, maybe we can do. You know, people can do storytelling, readings, dramatic readings, poetry read. I mean, again, I'm not an expert in this field, but we maybe break it up into different uh, mediums, and go about it that way. But yeah, I think there's different ways we can reach out to folks. We just need to have kind of that plan of okay, you know, we're looking for on this date these folks, and then, you know, network. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, but that makes sense. Sure.
Jenny?
I have one more question related to this. It's more of a, I guess, a regulation type question. Are there restrictions on, let's say, there's a musical group performing in Blueback in July, and there's space for, let's say, 3 artists, visual artists, to come and maybe even set up a tent or something and just be present and people can see their work or whatever. Are there like, would that be a permit issue with the town? Like, do we need to get permission for in that sort of space and, you know, for that sort of event, get permission for artists to sell their work or display their work?
I don't know, but I've seen it happen before, so I think we can get it done.
Happen, yeah.
Make it happen. The one thing I will advise, when you start talking about, you know, the public and doing things, the one thing that gets real tricky is when food is involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, you know, we need the health inspector to come in and monitor and
Yeah.
all that, and that can get a little dicey. But I'm not sure about the you know, selling or whatever. But that's a good question to ask, and I think that would be, you know, in the case of Blueback, the property owner, they would know
Okay.
because they've done this. The great thing is they've done this before.
Right.
Yes, Karen.
I mean, one of the times, and I guess you choose judiciously, could be an arts and culture fair. I was just following up with what you were saying about a tent. that the arts and culture people at the Celebrate get kind of lost because there's the carnival aspect of that thing, that whole festival. And there's always the main stage where there's, you know, well, one day is kids, and then the next day are people like Latanya, professional performers. And that is separate from where the arts and culture group of booths are. And plus it costs a lot of money to get a booth there. So some arts and culture organizations say pass. But an idea might be one of the nights could feature or spotlight arts and culture groups. Like there are groups in this collaborative that I'm sure might be willing to show up on a nice night in June or May to spotlight maybe what's happening for them then, or give out information or hand out, what do they call those things? I mean, we hand out pads and candy, you know, so the giveaways. But it'd be kind of fun and festive, and give opportunity for the different groups to just show up and have it be part of. I can imagine like an entertainer like yourself just giving some attention to it. You know, I visit the booths, you know, take a look at what we have to offer here. So it's just an idea.
It's a great idea.
Absolutely. Any other questions for Latanya as we move along? And we'll update you at our April meeting. Okay, if not, let's go some of the space needs. As y'all remember, last meeting we talked about some of the organizations, the Women's Choral and the Symphony, are looking for some space. I connected the Women's Choral and the Symphony with USJ, University of St. Joseph's. Karen, I don't know if you have any update on what's come of that.
Well, not sure what's happened after the second meeting. We did have a meeting, basically with the house manager of the theater at Carol Odorino, and he asked us for some specifics about our event. I don't know. There was another woman from the chorale, from the university, who was silent. She was, you didn't see her. I think she was in the car maybe. And so she was participating in the meeting that way, but she had nothing to say. And I assume she's the person maybe that you might know, Chuck, besides the gentleman who runs the theater in that whole
Maggie Penny, maybe.
I mean, they have opening for our event.
Okay.
Whether they can accommodate us in what we need is unclear, and whether it's pricey.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it, where there was no talk about the benefit of St. Joe's having us there, the benefit to them. It was mostly more about more business, so I'm not sure where it has ended up. I can find out about it.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure there's nothing else that we can do to help with that.
Okay.
And I think Marilla, the same with the Symphony. Again,
Yes.
Richard knows the manager over there very well, and they've used the facility. Any update after?
Not that I am aware of, no.
Okay.
And I know that they've met, but nothing has been decided yet.
Okay. Well, let me know if there's any. I mean, it's there's some factors that I want to make sure that you guys that the connections were made, and if it comes down to a price thing, both the Women's Chorale and whatever, let me know if there's something. I can. I don't know if it'll help or hurt or whatever, but if that's something I can help them see the benefit of, maybe a reduced rate, but they have a facility they got to run, they got to pay people too, and all that.
Understandably, yeah.
Okay. So next we have the West Hartford Town Hall Public Display of Arts and Culture. Ginny and I went in and had another meeting with our old town clerk and our new town clerk. Leon Davidoff is going to be the new town clerk, and Essie LeBreau is retiring. Ginny, you want to summarize kind of what went on? And
Sure. I would say the big takeaways were there was another woman, Cynthia. Was it Cynthia? She general counsel.
She's from the Corporation Counsel's office. Yes.
Okay. So I think that to start on a positive note, they like the public art criteria and policy that we came up with, sort of the guidelines to use or to be able to rely on when someone's wanting to donate a piece of art or however it lands in West Hartford in town hall, to be able to use sort of that framework we came up with to make some decisions. So it sounds like Cynthia was going to go back, add a few things to that. And her thought was to use that as the policy that we're submitting, and then all the other sort of recommendations we made for that to be more of like addendum ideas. In terms of the specific recommendations, I don't know if you guys all remember, but we had sort of different ideas, sort of break down sort of the art or displays in town hall by floor and by theme to sort of create a more cohesive, story about West Hartford. And I think they, at this point, want to take a less ambitious approach to sort of what's already there in town hall, and really start with decluttering what's already there. They had some concerns about the first floor gallery, rotating gallery, that idea that we came up with, because the building usually closes by 4:00. They're not open on Saturdays, that sort of thing. In terms of another idea we had was in the legislative chamber to sort of, scale back, get rid of some of that children's art that's been up for 20 years and sort of make that into sort of a photo gallery with historic photographs, some of which are already up, and even more contemporary photographs of the town and what we're all about. And at this point, I don't know if you guys remember, but this all started when there was a donation of a large quilt by a current resident artist. And so basically they're going to go ahead and put that quilt in the legislative chamber. They're not ready to really move forward with any of the specific ideas we have. I think they're going to stick with the current committee that they have to make these choices. It doesn't sound like they're ready to pay any sort of curator or resident to be a part of that. They thought that perhaps someone from our commission could be on that committee. It doesn't sound like they're in a place where they feel like they could really implement a lot of the ideas we came up with. Yeah, what am I missing, Chuck? It sounds like the term they brought up a few times was like needing to take baby steps, with where they even begin. So I know Essie, it sounds like they have sort of limited funding protected for framing and other curating type services. So, it's yeah. Chuck,
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I missing?
No, you hit the highs and the lows. I think Ginny and I both left disappointed. And this kind of goes back. I mean, first of all, everybody's doing the best they can. Mm-hmm. This is budget season, and money is always tight. They don't have several $100,000 that they can in an ideal world that they could invest in things like this. And there's also a lot of people that have to sign off on some of the things that we had proposed. There's the gentleman who runs town hall, not the clerk, but runs the infrastructure, and that's his responsibility. Yes, Carol.
I was just curious, does that include the signage portion as well? Did they have any thoughts on that? It was everything.
We didn't. I mean, I made my feelings. I shared my opinion about the
Oh,
current
good,
state
good.
of town hall.
Yeah.
And again, I probably was a little too frank, but it for such a wonderful town, a welcoming, diverse, inclusive town. I think town hall looks like we've opened up town hall to everybody's attic, and just there's no rhyme or reason on the signage there. I counted, there were literally 5 different handmade signs saying exit on the doors going out. And that
Yeah.
stuff just kind of drives me.
On the doors, yeah, the main doors. Yeah, I noticed that when I was there
It,
last.
it,
Yeah.
but it's nobody's fault. Nobody's, there's a lot of different things, at work here, a lot of priorities. And, we kind of come along, we're the new kids on the block here saying, we got to do, arts and culture. And
Well, baby steps, I guess, if we can get some of the baby steps going would be good, and maybe then they'll go from there.
Well, and I think, and I think, Chuck, when that came up, I think everyone in that room was in agreement that there is a great need to declutter, and that it seemed like that's sort of where they'd want to start. I guess I left. I wish I'd asked more about, okay, so who's going to be in charge of that piece? Like, I know that I'm not sure exactly who is on that existing committee, Chuck.
It's Tracy Wilson, our town historian, and Roxanne Stahalchuk from the Art League.
Okay.
And the gentleman's name who runs, the day-to-day operations of town hall.
Yeah. So what, and I think that even if there had been like a small stipend for a community artist to sort of take the lead on some of this, because everyone is so busy, it's sort of, but again, I think I don't think we left it where this is a done deal. It sounds like, we talked about maybe, yeah. So my sense is that like you said, Chuck, there's so many competing interests and so many things that needs to be done in that building. But the one thing that there was interest, even if there wasn't a rotating gallery on the first floor, that perhaps there's room to create, get more student art in a more visible place in town hall. I don't know if you got that same sense, Chuck, but we talked a bit at the end around getting some high school artists, teen art up in that space on the first floor. And that, clearly the Board of Ed has done a good job of that. And so there are people in the building that know how to do that, have done that. Maybe that's a good, entrance ramp into like really making that space look better. But yeah, I didn't leave feeling like there was a plan, for.
No, neither did I. And again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying, talking about when Kate was here. My preference, I would, and this is just my thought, we were asked for help, maybe we went a little over in terms of recommendations and how much help we could give. But I just don't think town hall is ready for us yet. So I think we're better off focusing our energy and efforts other places. Because we're gonna, there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen there, rightfully so. It's a busy place, a lot going on in town hall. We're not the only game in town. But I think one of the things that we need to do is, talk about the long term. What is our town's commitment to the arts and culture? I think we're missing as a town. We do so many things great. I love West Hartford. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. This is my home. I'm, God willing, I die here. And but we're missing the ball with arts and culture. And other communities are doing a much better job of using arts and culture as a way to promote their community, make it, showcase it as the wonderful place it is to live and work and play and raise a family and meet people and all that great stuff. We should be doing more of that. And I think, we need to kind of weave that into what we do in all of our messaging. And yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I don't want to, spin our wheels and waste our time trying to get something at town hall that I don't think they're ready for yet.
Yeah. Well, disappointing, but thank you too for all the work you put into it. I mean, that's what's disappointing, I think, but think positive and move on to other things.
And it's not, and again, I don't, it's maybe disappointing. It's too hard, maybe a little discouraged, but that's, this is not easy, this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We can't let ourselves, be discouraged. You just got to keep pushing ahead. Marilla?
Right.
Yeah, but we have to factor in the fact that Essie is out, and right now we have a new team to work with, and perhaps after the decluttering happens,
Yes.
have another look at the proposed plan, and then we can go knock at the door again. Do you need help? Let's see what's the next baby step.
Yeah.
So we kind of move the ball in the right direction.
And it was actually Leon who was the new town clerk. And I love it. I've known Essie for probably 30 years. She's great. She's going to be sorely missed. She did a great job.
Good.
But again, and I know that she's being pulled. All these people in town hall are being pulled in several different directions. And here we come along, this little kid, not quite 3 years old, trying to, butt our way to the table. Our time will come with town. But Leon was the one that brought up Northampton.
Yeah, the mural. Yeah, so he's all for the arts, just like you said. People are being pulled in so many directions.
So maybe we look at different approaches, but that would have been a big commitment on our part, anyways, and a lot of work. But I think for now we look at other opportunities.
Forge ahead. Yes.
Onward and upward. All righty. And then we got last on the agenda, the infrastructure master plan. That's all still going. We've submitted our request for all this. The advertising, I think that also plays into the Why West Hartford calendar. Hopefully in the coming weeks, some of these things are going to be sorted out. And again, a lot of this stuff is money, which I know, unfortunately, Matt wasn't feeling well. He can't give us our budget update, but I'm pretty sure we all know what that is. The big fat zero. All righty. Any other questions, comments? Yes. Karen.
I just noticed, because I was reading the minutes, and there was a discussion, and I was reminded of it, about developing a mission statement for this council. And we didn't touch upon it today, which is fine. I just didn't want to lose track of that idea.
I think we, we have a mission statement that was part of the town council has given us. It's in our.
Well, it's a purpose. I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
mission statement.
Yeah.
Mission statement should be inspiring.
I agree.
So I don't know how we want to approach that.
Why don't we do this? I had asked in the last month for people to get back to me with thoughts on what I didn't hear much, which is fine. I'm really, I like to keep it simple. I like what Latanya had come up with, connecting artists with places and spaces to showcase their work. It's really down, very simple. I don't believe in mission statements that ramble on for paragraphs and.
Right. Should be a couple of sentences, or one sentence, even if you can bring it down to that. I don't know. I know we have some constraints about not communicating in a meeting type way off the meeting. You know what I'm saying? we have to be careful about what we communicate, but there are some helpful places that can tell you how to construct a mission statement and give you simple ones, you know. So I'd be happy to do a little research and send it out to people, or if anyone else has contacts.
Why don't you do this, Karen? And I'll, you know, if folks have thoughts on this, email them to me.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, I'll include the feedback that I've gotten in the minutes or in the agenda. And then we can have a discussion on that.
So we're bringing that forward for next time.
Yes.
Okay.
I just for the sake of, you know, learning about this, is it possible that we create a sort of a Google form where we all send you an idea? So then, you know, you compile them easier. I'm just thinking, you know, it would probably be easier.
Yeah, I don't want to create more work for everyone and come up. If you just want to, if folks just want to send me an email with your thoughts on what it is, and then I'm just going to put it on, you know, a separate sheet of paper that we can, you know, share at the meeting next week, and include that in the agenda. I think that's the easiest way, and then we can have a free flowing conversation. Does that make sense, Marilla? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, you know, if I get an email from Chuck with a link, I click on the link and I do it right away. If I talk about it and then I might forget to send it to Chuck. You know, that's me.
Yeah. Yes, Latanya.
I can create a quick Google form and just send it out to everyone.
Perfect.
I'll attach it to the email. And then I get what you're saying, Marilla. With all the responses are just right there. I get it. And it's in one place, and then we can all see and share the document back with one another so we can see it. I get it.
And then that document will be shared with the public at our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
I'll do that.
Great. Okay. Anything else for the good of the group?
We need you to get well.
May we all be well, especially as spring's coming. Thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? All right. Marilla makes the motion. Latanya seconds. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Yay. All righty. Motion's adjourned. Meeting's adjourned at 7:29 on no less. That's great.
Good job.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Feel
Goodbye,
better,
everyone.
Chuck.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Feel
Better,
better.
Chuck.
Yeah.
Bye.